Welcome to this web-based CEDS training, a new approach to developing your comprehensive economic development strategy. This is Josh Beck, and I have with me Steve Etcher, both of us from Marks Nelson LLC. It's our privilege to be with you. And this is our fourth and final module focused on procedure. In the past, we've talked about the purpose of a CEDS, background and planning essentials. We dove into process of developing a CEDS. We talked about the product, the critical EDA CEDS guidelines, and today we're going to conclude with focusing on procedure, talking about CEDS adoption, approval, reporting, and updates.
Thanks, Josh, and welcome back to this webinar to talk about the CEDS process. You've gone through this lengthy process of understanding your region, assembling background information, understanding your opportunities and your strengths within your community, recognizing your threats and the challenges that you face as a region, and you've resolved to address those through a very pointed and strategic action plan with specific performance measures that you're going to track your ability to impact your regional growth and economic development. So you've done all this, now what? What do you do with this process and with this document? EDA's regulations provide some very specific steps that practitioners need to follow to make sure that their CEDS is adopted and approved and updated on a regular basis. Once you've completed the public input process and you've developed your CEDS document, it's important that you provide an opportunity for the public to review and comment upon your finished work. Now, I would encourage you as well to let your public be involved in the review and development of the process throughout the entire CEDS activities. But at a minimum, once you have that final product drafted, you need to make sure the public has an opportunity to review it, and you need to solicit their feedback and their comments. Every finalized CEDS needs to be made available for public review, and that public review should last no less than 30 days. Any comments that you receive during that 30-day comment period, you should incorporate as part of your CEDS document as well, and provide EDA your response to those specific comments. Once you finalized the CEDS, you received your public input, now it's time to present it to your regional planning organization's board of directors for adoption. It's very important that your organization formally adopt this plan and the strategic action that's outlined within it as part of the blueprint, the roadmap for the region's prosperity. So get your governing board to pass a resolution adopting the CEDS document. Once you have that completed, you're now ready to submit the plan to EDA for the review and approval. Regardless of the format that you produced your plan in, make sure you present it to EDA in a format that they can review and provide you good feedback and critiques of the work that you're doing. But make sure you submit it to your designated economic development representative as well as your regional office contact person for review and approval. EDA, once they've reviewed and approved your CEDS, has additional requirements for you as well. Every year, you're required to submit an annual performance report on your CEDS. What this report should entail is what types of measurements, what types of gains did you make in achieving the specific goals and the vision, and what actions have you implemented as a result of your CEDS process. Be sure to articulate the specific outcomes that you've achieved or the amount of progress that you've achieved towards achieving those goals. So make sure that is incorporated within your annual report, as well as also report on the performance metrics that you identified. Report on things such as job creation, job retention, private investment, or some of those non-traditional things such as changes in poverty, changes in unemployment, changes in wealth, family incomes, etc. Make sure that's part of your annual report to EDA as well. It may also be important to update, or maybe necessary to update your CEDS if conditions within your region have changed dramatically. As you're going through the annual CEDS report, if you realize there have been some substantial change within your region, it may be necessary to update the CEDS document, to redo the CEDS itself. If you make any significant technical changes to the CEDS document that was approved by EDA, it's important that the revisions be also subject to an opportunity for public comment and review. So any significant technical changes need to be presented for public review for a 30-day comment period. And again, be sure to report to EDA how you disposed or how you addressed those comments that were arrived during that public solicitation process. And now that you've completed the CEDS, you've got it approved, and you're in the process now of making your annual updates, you're reminded that every 5 years at a minimum, EDA will require you to update your CEDS document, to really start back at the beginning and reassess your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, create that vision, create a strategic action plan, and really identify performance measures that you can evaluate to make sure you're moving the needle within your region in terms of economic growth and prosperity. And again, every 5 years as you go through that update, be sure you follow the public comment and public review requirements that EDA has stipulated as well. We wish you all the best in improving your regional economies through an effective and impactful CEDS.
So that concludes Module 4, and in fact includes the webinar series as a whole. We're so glad that you joined us, and I want to remind you that this web-based training is in conjunction with our live training events. We've got 3 live training events coming up, one in Billings, Montana on October 4th, one on October 11th in Denver, Colorado, and one on October 17th in Olathe, Kansas, in the Kansas City, Kansas region. We look forward to seeing you at one of those events. The concept behind the idea of doing this web-based training was to provide everybody with a base level of knowledge, get some questions submitted to us, and then really focus the live-based training on things like some in-depth presentations by experienced professionals. We've got some video interviews highlighting best practices from folks throughout the country who have done this process well, completed this process well. We've got information and live interviews from, or recorded interviews from, the Economic Development Administration, providing information on their expectations and some tips and tricks. We're going to have roundtable discussions with fellow practitioners, and we're going to have a lot of good networking and relationship development as well. So we look forward to seeing you at one of those live events. And again, meanwhile, you're welcome to contact either myself, Josh Beck, or Steve Etcher anytime at training@marksnelsonCPA.com, by phone at 816-743-7700, or you can meet us online at marksnelsonCPA.com. Thank you again for taking part in this webinar series, and we look forward to seeing you at one of the live training events.